Welcome back to another episode of the FNZ Monday Night Football Show. I'm Ashley Simons. It's been a nice weekend of football, and to be honest, I've been really enjoying it. Really, how many goals were there in the Premier League this weekend? It's been brilliant for the fantasy team. I think I've dropped a bit though. Don't think I've got the right players in there. Talk about the right personnel. Let's see who we've got tonight. We've obviously got Mark Beck. How you doing, mate?
Not bad, mate. You?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. And obviously Thomas Whitby making his debut on the show tonight. Let's move us all around a bit. Tom, we've been trying to get hold of you for a while, mate. What's been going on?
Oh, mate, work's been a bugger. Busy man after lockdown, but here I am making a debut for the second time for you.
So we've got plenty to talk about tonight, boys. In terms of football, if you're joining us for the first time, we've got our Twitter page, Instagram, Facebook. Why don't you hit a like or share or even a follow on there and get up to date with all the latest on the channel. We're live every Monday night and we look at all the late in football. So tonight, boys, got plenty to talk about. First of all, Monday Night Football, Aston Villa versus Sheffield United kicked off earlier. I don't know the score, boys, so don't ruin it for me. I'm now going to scroll down. 0-0 at half time. Why do I think there would be goals in that game?
Yeah, I don't know why, mate, to be honest. Especially with that early red card. Sheffield United just anchor in now.
What happened there in the with the red card? Did anyone see it?
In the words of Arsene Wenger, I didn't see it.
Yeah, ball got played over the top, long ball from, I think it was Mings at the back. Watkins Egan got the wrong side of Watkins and pulled him back when he was in on goal.
Well, it's unreal, really, because if you look as well, Aston Villa have conceded a penalty as well, and Emiliano Martinez on his debut for the club has saved it. So
typical when he's on the bench.
I'm not going to watch any videos tonight because we got done last week, boys. Video got banned. Yeah, I think I'm going to court the amount of videos I used last week, so we won't look at any videos tonight. But in terms of start to season, Sheffield United got battered, didn't they, on the first day? Who did they play?
They played Wolves last week. We were going for it last week,
yes,
weren't we?
Monday night, and they must be the team for Monday nights going forward. They've got
looks like it, doesn't
it? Let's go to you, Tom, on this one first. If we look at Aston Villa and Sheffield United, I want to know what you think about them. But firstly, I want to go to Villa. They've made some shrewd signings in the summer. They've brought in Matty Cash, and they've brought in Ollie Watkins. Two young English talents that can go really far in the game, and represent that team that you've got there on your top at some point. But Tyrone Mings obviously changing his number, becoming that centre half that Villa really needs, that vocal point. What do you think Villa will do this season?
I think they'll just stay up. I think they'll be there or thereabouts at the bottom. Ollie Watkins is a lot of money for a Championship player. 28 million. I think Brentford have kind of done Villa there, but time will tell. See if he can score a few. He looks dangerous. Obviously, red card was because of him running in behind. Matty Cash was quite a lot going forward as a fullback. I watched the first half and put a few good balls into the area. You add that to, like you said, the likes of Mings, Grealish. You got a good spot in the team there, really.
Yeah. What about you there, Becks? Aston Villa bought well in the summer. Obviously, they changed their recruitment. They're in this game. They really need to get some points on the table, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, they didn't play last week because of with Man City and Man United missing a week. But no, Grealish signed the 5-year deal. It was a big bit of news from the week just gone, and I saw him play against Burton in midweek, and he absolutely tore him apart. Like, I know they're 2 levels below, but you can just see the quality he's got. And basically, the better Jack Grealish plays for them, the better they're going to do this season. Like Whitby said, I think they're probably going to be down there purely based on who they've got up front. I think we've talked about it the last couple of weeks. Watkins is a gamble. I think I like him as a player, but he's unproven. We've seen it with Che Adams at Southampton and various other Championship strikers making the step up. It doesn't always work out. Vidra's another one. He was prolific at Championship, but doesn't even get in the Burnley team very often. So no, I think they'll be. I think it's between them and. Despite how they played last week, they didn't play very well this weekend. I think it's between them and Newcastle for that last relegation spot, along with Fulham and West Brom, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think there's some early contenders in there for relegation this season. Sheffield United, for me, definitely a favourite to go down this season. Started really, really poorly. Is it, are they running on the fumes of last season's success? Did they buy well in the summer? In my opinion, they did. They brought in some good players, but in positions they didn't really need to strengthen in.
Yeah, I think you look at the squad and I look at their strikers. I like Ollie McBurney, but he hasn't really lit the league up. He's more of a support striker, I'd say, more than a natural goal scorer. Billy Sharp's getting up there, always a good goal scorer, but this is, I think it's his first season second season at Premier League level, isn't it? McGoldrick's not really a great goal scorer either. Maupay, they haven't really signed a striker who you think, yep, he's going to score the goals to keep them up. Even if you look at Fulham, at least they've got Mitrovic, he's going to score goals for them. They've made some good recruitment. It's just whether they get found out. I think at times, they're lauded over for their system of this, these marauding centre halves and overloading the wide areas, but a lot of last season was sitting in and anchoring in as basically a 5-3-2 as opposed to sort of this attacking 3-5-2 that we saw at the Championship. But I think they'll have enough. Wilder's quite a wise and savvy manager, but no, it'll be a difficult year and probably not as we see it a lot with promoted sides. The second season's always a little bit harder, but I think they'll have enough compared to who else is in the league, really.
Yeah. Reacting to the red cards earlier on, Ethan Abadu's come on for Dave McGoldrick. Obviously, McGoldrick, a player we know very well from his time at Ipswich. Very much an artist on the ball. He can set up goals and, he does often get on the end of it. And he was starting to show some form towards the end of last season for Sheffield United. A bit late, you would suggest, but he's been a very good player for them, and they all appreciate what he does on and off the ball. Ethan Abadu, a player who's got something to prove. Played a few times for Chelsea, went out on loan last season, now is out on loan in the Premier League. Do you think he can cut it in the Premier League at Sheffield United? Tom?
Who are you going to?
Where he was at Leipzig last year, wasn't he?
Yes, I think he made a few appearances.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our younger players go out to Germany, different experience, gives them a different perspective on obviously football world. But you've seen a lot of players this year go from the Bundesliga over to the Premier League this year. And obviously the two main ones, you've got Havertz and Werner, and they've obviously, I feel both of them have struggled to start off with. But I mean, Ampadu's been over in the English game quite a bit, played a few games for Wales as well. And to be fair, he looks a good prospect. Holding midfielder, looks quite tidy in there.
Yeah, I like the look of him, and I think he could go far in the game. Let's go on to a talking point. Let me ask you a question, boys. What was your favourite game from the weekend in the Premier League this weekend just gone?
Trying to think what
I watched Southampton versus Spurs, obviously, because I love Southampton. And despite the result, it was a bloody good game. First half was just end to end. I think there was 4 goals. Well, no, there was actually 6 goals, but no. Oh, I'm getting completely muddled up. There was at least 3 disallowed goals in the first half. And then, Spurs looked completely out of it, up until probably a minute before half time when they equalised. And then second half, they just blew them away. And Southampton didn't really learn the lessons, but no, it was a great game. Probably one of the best of the weekend, but got plenty to choose from. I think what we said, there was another 5-2 at Everton, wasn't there? 4-3 with Leeds.
Yeah.
There's plenty of goals flying in across the league.
I think for once this week, we're not going to talk about Leeds that much. But if you look at the Spurs game alone, obviously one of our friends was talking about Harry Kane, and he's just a finisher. But he definitely had his dinner on Sunday.
Before kick-off that.
Delivering 4 goals for Heung Son Min and scoring as well. Not to mention, I mean, if you've got them in your fantasy team, you're flying this week. But Son as well. What a makeshift striker he is, and I think he's very underrated. Would you agree with that, Tom? Let's start with you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's done absolute bits the last couple of seasons. He's predominantly played on the wing, hasn't he? Likes to cut in and obviously whip him across goal. But he offers so much more than that going forward. Defending as well. His work rate's unbelievable for Tottenham. And I mean, he's been unlucky. He's had a few red cards, a few a bit harsh, a few a bit unlucky, but he shows that he really cares for the club and he shows his quality. And to be fair, Poch's got the best out of him. And I think Mourinho's carrying that on as well.
Yeah, and obviously Harry Kane there. KFC. Nice little reminder, boys, of what we're missing out on.
I'm hungry now.
Harry Kane, the first person to deliver I think there's 4 passes, 4 assists in the first half there. But if we just look at that again, if we look at the this one here, the result obviously 5-2. Danny Ings got 2. And if you watch the game, Mark, you would have been impressed with Danny Ings' first goal, where he just took it down. And he's just walked through a world-class defence there and just buried that in the bottom corner. Lloris pulling off a very good save just before that. But, Danny Ings is still scoring goals. Now, boys, in my opinion, this guy's got to be walking into the England squad at some point in the next few months. He's consistent, he's bagging, and, he's pretty much in everyone's fantasy Premier League side. I think that says a lot about the player. People want to see him in that starting lineup, don't they?
The problem is with the England side is they only play one up front, and there's only one man that's going to play up front for our country, and unfortunately it's going to be Harry Kane. I think that's one of the main reasons why Vardy retired, because he knew he wasn't going to get ahead of Harry Kane to start with. I agree Ings should be in that side, but I think he's going to be a bit part-time, come off the bench, playing a meaningless friendlies here and there. He's going to get game time.
Yeah, do you agree with that, Mark?
Yeah, it's an interesting time for England, because I think we've got, in some areas we don't have a lot of talent, and then in other areas we're just completely got an abundance of talent. I look at right back, ridiculous, but then left back after Chilwell, who is there really? Ain't anyone that I'd pick out who stands out, unless there's, I've probably forgotten someone. But then you look at striker, as Tom said, if we're only playing one striker, it's going to be Harry Kane, rightly or wrongly. But you know how I feel about Danny Ings. He should be in that team. And last year he was better than Harry Kane. Put it that way. Do you play your form players or do you play your best players?
I'm surprised you haven't ordered your Southampton shirt yet, mate, to be honest.
I am very tempted. To get one. I don't know whether to get Ings or Stuart Armstrong. I like both of them. So,
Tim Pop. I don't know. Well, let's cast our mind to one of the the top games of the weekend, Chelsea Liverpool. It was a puzzling game. You'd say Chelsea have got the squad to deliver results this season. Early signs are that the fans aren't happy with players like Havertz, who just doesn't seem to be cutting it at the moment. 2 starts and not really affected the game. Werner's not scored yet, even though he had a chance. But can you really complain against the side of Liverpool's stature? And obviously bringing in the likes of Thiago as well over the weekend. What a player! And I think if we just go over here to this graphic here, Thiago Alcantara breaks the Premier League record for most passes in 45 minutes on his Premier League debut. I don't know if they were looking out for that one, but that just shows the kind of play. He's making space. He's playing against world-class players, you'd argue, and he is one of the players. Mark, what do you think of that sign?
Very good. You look at that Liverpool squad, and I know they didn't quite go unbeaten at the end of the season. They sort of dropped off a little bit, but arguably one of the best Premier League sides in history. You think, how are you going to improve on that? And then you go and bring in Thiago for, was it 20 million as well? That's the amazing thing. Arguably, probably one of the best centre mids in the world. You're bringing him in for 20 million is amazing value. He'll only improve that midfield. I think he's better than anyone they've got in that midfield. Fabinho's pretty good as well, but it's interesting because at the Premier League, there's a lot of players that have joined the Premier League this season who you'd necessarily say I don't think they'd cut it in the Premier League in terms of the pace of the game. But these players play at their own pace. I look at James, and I'll be first to admit I writ him off. He's had a terrific start, and then you look at Thiago. He's sort of this, like I think it's been said, like a ticking metronome, just not necessarily quick, strong, or anything, but keeps things ticking over. And what, like you see there, he's dominating possession for the best side from last year. You know, people are quick to write players off from other leagues, but these two lads are proving everyone wrong at the minute.
Yeah. Don't forget to leave your comments tonight, guys. Leave a comment and let us know what you think about the topics we talk about. Tux is obviously on the bench tonight to bring in Whitby for his first appearance of the season. He has got a point, though. Chelsea will have a testing season. I don't think they will do as well as many predicted into the start of the season. Lampard will be under much more pressure. Do you agree with that? Do you think Lampard's maybe going to get less time to prove himself this season? Do you think he could be one of those managers that could be up for the sack at any point? Tom?
I don't think he'll get sacked. I think he's going to get time at Chelsea. I think the thing is, last season he wasn't under that much pressure. Coming from Derby, he brought a lot of players that he had with Derby, so Mason Mount, Tomori, players like brought him into the Chelsea team. It's quite a big step up from the Championship to the top of the Premier League, Champions League, etc. And he didn't have that much pressure on him. This season, he's brought in Thiago Silva, Ziyech, Havertz, Werner, all for obviously Havertz and Werner for big money. So he is going to have a bit more pressure on him this year. I feel that at the same time, he hasn't. They're going to need time to gel into the team as well. And I mean, yesterday, if you look at the mistakes that they made at the back, the players that are going to come in are going to be the players he signed. So you've got Thiago Silva, you've got Chilwell, etc. Are going to come in and replace Alonso, whoever's playing centre back for Chelsea. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they're going to come and obviously replace those players and obviously make them a better side. I feel like obviously Werner and Havertz are both still young. They're going to have a lot of time on their hands, but with the money they have been brought in for, especially Havertz, he hasn't performed at all. I watched both games and he's been. I forgot he's on the pitch.
Where were they playing him? Were they playing him in centre mid?
I think they played him up top to start with. First half, I think he was up top
because he played for watching the Bundesliga over lockdown. He was playing like false nine for Leverkusen. So it's up to Lampard to get the best. Yeah, he needs to. Maybe that doesn't work in the Premier League. I don't know. We've seen it a few times from certain teams, but yeah, they're going to take time to gel, aren't they? Let's be honest. And I'm looking forward to seeing Ziyech. We haven't seen him yet, have we? So I think he's out of all of them, he's probably going to go. I think a lot of people have forgotten that he's probably there because he's been overshadowed by Thiago Silva, Werner, and Havertz coming in for big money. But Ziyech is a very good player, and I'm looking forward to him playing in the Premier League.
You've got to pick on Chelsea's frailties. Tom mentioned there all the players that they're bringing in that can make a massive impact. And to be honest, you look at them on paper, you'd say that's the squad I want to play with on FIFA. You know, they're going to be everyone.
Yeah,
they're going to go all the way in the Champions League. But if you look, there's one frailty in there that everyone's picking up on at the moment. It's Kepa Arrizabalaga. 71
pronunciation there.
The most expensive goalkeeper of all time and the worst in Premier League history, ? I wonder what people think about that. I saw something today about Kepa apparently he's conceded 18% of Chelsea's goals in Premier League history. I mean, that's crazy. If that's true, that is absolutely shocking. This is a guy who had the sheer audacity to tell his manager to piss off when he was trying to substitute him because he thinks he's that good. Can you remember Kepa actually pulling off any kind of save, from memory that made you think he was a good goalkeeper?
Martin back at Spanish days.
It's just not good. It's been found out. You can see he's a bit rusty. You don't know what he's doing with the ball. You look at the 2 goals. All right, let's look at the goal he gave away to Mane. Easy. He just handed it to Mane on the plate. But before that, he was in testing positions. I don't know what he was doing with the ball. The ball was on the outside of towards the outside of the 18-yard box, and he was trying to chase it down early on in the first half. The guy just seems questionable at times. Chelsea obviously brought in a goalkeeper over the summer. I think he might have gone out on loan again, or I'm not sure, but I think they need
someone from France.
Yeah,
Mendy.
Yeah.
But
I'll play devil's advocate though. To be fair to Kepa, how old is he? Is he 22? He's not very old, is he?
No idea.
He's not very old at all. But it's not his. It's not his. It's not his fault that they paid. He might be better, to be fair, but it's not his fault that they paid 78 million for him. I think transfer fees are a little bit like they get bigged up too much, because it's not what the player's worth, it's what the club values the player at. And but like you said, his confidence is completely shot. He is a young lad. Don't know what his age is. We can't confirm. But I think best case for him is to go. I think if he went back to Spain on loan, be a second keeper at a club who are in the Europa League and get some games that way, like Karius did for Liverpool. Maybe that'll be the best avenue for him. And whether he comes back to Chelsea a refreshed player, or Chelsea can try and save as much money as they can in a permanent deal. But if he's such a young lad, to go from playing for Bilbao, and no disrespect to Bilbao, but he's going to have easier opportunities to get in there because of his heritage, the way that they operate. He's going to be, they're not going to bring in a keeper who's from Brazil or England or wherever, are they? Because they just promote from within. Coming to one of the biggest clubs in the world, where they've had some great keepers in Petr Cech and Thibaut Courtois in the last few years. It's a hard position for him, and I do feel sorry for him. But yeah, he's not having a great time at the minute, is he?
No, and Tux has just culminated there. Shearer said on Match of the Day last night, he hit the nail on the head. Kepa has lost his confidence and ultimately he isn't good enough. The longer Lampard keeps him inside, Chelsea will suffer. And, I have to agree with that, I'm afraid. Chelsea, they've got a few more days left in the market to buy a keeper. Obviously, you saw Arsenal there. Bought in, I think it was Gunnarsson, they bought in today. They're looking to back up their keepers again after losing Emi Martinez, who, for me, wasn't up to Arsenal scratch. I don't think he was a player that was going to go far for Arsenal. That's my opinion. Boys, let's just have a quick look at this.
Listen up, lads. Are you madly searching for the next best podcast? Join Ash, Armchair, Tux and Becks for the FNZ 90+3 podcast as they speak to former professionals about their careers in football. Available to watch on YouTube or listen to on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Join the lads every Sunday from 8 p.m.
So, last night we had Matt Jarvis on, obviously former Wolverhampton Wanderers, Gillingham, West Ham United, Norwich City winger. Good crack. Bex, were you on that one, mate?
What's that, Matt Jarvis one? No, I wasn't on that one.
Went on there. It was me, Tux, and Andy Rutter. And to be honest,
I had a couple of weeks off, but then you got me back in for some of the big boys that we've got coming up, haven't you?
Good crack, was. Look, we can share our own videos. Here's a trailer.
Let's take a look into the dressing room, chat to former professional footballers about their experiences on and off the pitch. Bit of a scoop this one, so I'm happy with it. I think I'll probably just go with Gary Neville, probably because I can understand him rather than Carragher. His experience was at Wembley in front of 85,000 fans. I remember getting that call back and just sort of sprinting back to the dugout. I remember I was actually going on a boys' holiday, would you believe? I had my bags packed. I was just about to go in the taxi to the airport, and then I get a call from my agent to say, right, tomorrow you're going to Portugal to meet Mick McCarthy. Welcome back to the FNZ 90+3 podcast.
So, it was a good chat with him. Obviously, one of many, but we've got some big guests coming up in the next few weeks. So watch out for that. Sundays at 8 p.m. Boys, what's next? What else have we got to talk about tonight. Let's have a look. There's been a goal. Monday Night Football. Who do you reckon scored it?
I don't know, Jeff.
I know who scored it. I've seen it come up.
That's Tim Potting. You shouldn't be having. Right, let's go back to the stream, boys. Let's get this on. It's 1-0 to Aston Villa. Let's see what the latest is on that one.
Concert, I think it was.
Where's the goal? Come on. Who scored? Goal.
Concert
scored from a corner. Another good young player. Got him from Brentford, didn't they?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Very good player.
Probably, helps that John Egan isn't at the back there. Probably Sheffield United's best defender, out and out defender. Probably best at set pieces as well. Him being sent off in that first half is probably now sort of taking its toll.
Opens the game up, and Villa need to get some important points on the table to try and build on last season, obviously staying up. Boys, one of the games I really want to talk about at the weekend was Everton West Brom. Now, a lot of people wrote off Everton quite early on and didn't expect them to do anything this season, but I've been thoroughly impressed. Yeah, Becks being one of them right there. I've been thoroughly impressed with how it started, and it's half down to this bloke here, right in the middle. James Rodriguez seems to be pulling the strings left, right, and centre. I saw a graphic at the weekend saying that he was the only player to not make any sprints in the Premier League this weekend, yet he was the most influential, which is ridiculous, really, considering. He took his goal really, really well against West Brom on Saturday, and it was end to end in the first half. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin, obviously another one we need to talk about, scored a hat trick, his first hat trick in the Premier League. Let's talk about those two players and concentrate on them, and then Everton's chances afterwards. Let's start with Calvert-Lewin. Great player, English, and like we had a conversation earlier. He scored a hat trick at the weekend, but if you look at his goals since Carlo Ancelotti came in, he's actually scored 14 Premier League goals, and that's not. I think he's second in the goal charts since Ancelotti took over. That's consistency, and that's the kind of player you want playing for England, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, but again, it's that problem of playing white front, isn't it? But I mean, the more options, the better for Southgate. Give him a headache if there is injuries, because there always tends to be a big injury or two before a major tournament. So it wouldn't surprise me if Calvert-Lewin pulled his hamstring again over Christmas or something like that. So the options are there, but it's good. It's good confidence for everyone as well. I wrote Calvert-Lewin off last season. Didn't think he had it in him, but he's proven us all wrong. And yeah, is he playing up front on his own?
Yeah, he is.
Lone striker. Yeah, hard work that is up on his own. To credit where it's due, there to obviously get the goals, but he's got players behind him as well. You've got the likes of obviously James now. You've got Alan in the midfield as well. They signed from Napoli. So they've got good players in there.
You've just reminded me of that video that Beck sent in the group at the weekend. It might be something to do with his goat-like haircut that is adopted since the lockdown. But Calvert-Lewin seems to be getting on the end of everything. But Bex, that video you set at the weekend where Calvert-Lewin just seems to be shouting, "Alan, Alan, Alan," to the ball. He's looking good. Everton are looking good. What do you make of James Rodriguez?
Well, I think I was probably one of the people to write him off, and I think that was probably fair because let's be honest, he's not done a lot since the 2014 World Cup, wasn't it? Yeah. Gosh, that's ages ago, isn't it? Now you think about it, that's so long ago. But yeah, credit where it's due. He's proven us all wrong, and like I said about Thiago, it's not always about being the most physically strong player. It's about being an intelligent player. He doesn't need to make sprints if he's in the right positions. And, if he's going to be in the right position and then he can find a teammate, that's even better for Everton. But yeah, it's early days as yet. I'll start cooking up my humble pie if Everton carry on. But no, they played a poor Spurs side, didn't they? Spurs were awful in the opening day. And then it's West Brom. no disrespect, but it's West Brom. Like, I'm not. They're going to be down there, aren't they? They're going to be in the relegation zone. So wait until they face. I can't wait for the Merseyside derby. That'll be very good. The first one of them will be very interesting. That was sort of a good test to judge Everton.
100%, that will be a good test. You're right. Let's have a look then and see what's going on elsewhere. Let's have a look at the Fantasy Premier League, boys. By the way, let's have a look at that.
Please
starting to take shape. And actually, let's just talk about something off topic. Good question raised about 15 minutes ago. So there's form in teams at the moment that surprises me. Do I think it's because they're playing basically reserve team football? They've got no crowd to play in front of. That pressure's gone. Do you think that pressure goes like during this situation? Look, with the pilot of home fans being back in some stadiums at the weekend, do you think it will make a difference to the home and away teams' performances? Yes or no? Let's start with you, Tom.
Yeah, I think it does. Especially for the away teams. I think there's a stat in the Bundesliga that home teams barely won a game over the first couple of weeks. That's obviously to do with the atmosphere of Germany. But I do think it does have a big impact for the home side because you haven't got that support behind you. Obviously, it will affect the likes of Leeds, Liverpool, who are used to that noisy crowd compared to other sides who do use the crowd to obviously push them on. I don't think it will affect teams, Man City, and I think Man City would be the most beneficial of it because they're used to playing in front of an empty ground. But no, it does have a big impact on the players. I mean, you've got to think used to playing in front of 20, 30,000 people plus. And for players who get a lot of stick, I think we said this Ipswich as well, players who do get a lot of stick benefit from it this year. And that'll be the same for every other team as well, because now they've got that freedom to express themselves a bit more and obviously not have people moaning when they make a wrong decision, give a ball away, etc. So it's going to be beneficial for players like that a lot more as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think those players who have been used to the massive pressure of playing in front of the likes of, let's say, 60,000 people every week, it's kind of like a reset button for them. They haven't played in front of these crowds for so long. When it goes back, it's going to be a fright, surely, isn't it, Becks?
Yeah, like Whitby said, some of the more intimidating grounds is going to be quite telling to see, how much that atmosphere plays a part. But to be honest, I think it all depends which fans get allowed back at certain clubs, doesn't it, really? Like, you may have, let's take, who's under pressure a little bit? Man United, for example. So, okay, decent year last year, getting in the top four, but not a great start to the season. Losing to Palace under controversial circumstances, but not a great performance. If you get 1,000 of that, or who that proportion of fans in who aren't on Ollie's side, what difference does that make? It might actually be more telling to have 1,000 of a minority of fans against your team in, because you'll hear it more. Sometimes the hate can be a minority, which often gets crowded out by the majority. When you've got a minority, who are perhaps a loud minority and are the only ones in the stadium, that could actually have a negative effect on fans as well, on the players. You just don't know. It all depends who gets let in. That is the problem.
I think you've got a strong point there. Who do you let in as well? Do you think the clubs have full control over who they do let into stadiums? Do they let in happy clappers, or who do they let in? Do you know what I mean? It'll
be on rotation though, won't it? It'll be, you could have certain fans who, I look at West Ham, that's another team. So you could have a week where, okay, one week they lose 2-0 to Chelsea, probably not a bad result in the grand scheme of things, comparing the two sides. The next week they draw with West Brom, and you get a different set of fans in, and they could completely turn on the squad. You just don't know, do you? You really don't know. It all depends who gets let in.
Yeah, interesting debate, that one. I think we'll come back to that a little later on. Let's have a look at the fantasy table then, boys. Let's have a look. Guilty Pleasures, top of the table in week. We're not even at the end of week 2 yet. Rory Anderson's side there. Let's have a look and see who's got there. We're giving away all his dirty little secrets now.
Great little tips.
Yeah, he's got Nyland in goal, so he's not going to lose any points there, is he, at all? James Justin got a goal at the weekend, didn't he? Snuck in. Alexander-Arnold, Laporte, who's obviously injured, but City haven't played yet, have they?
Who's got on the bench? They'll be the ones to replace him. Who's got on the bench?
He's got Tarkowski at Mitchell as well, at Crystal Palace. He's been an unsung hero as well, come through.
Yes, he'll come in there. Yeah.
Rodrigo only pulling 1 point for Leeds. Richarlison and Mitrovic, obviously Aubameyang getting an assist as well, and Son with the quadric this weekend. I mean, he's got a good squad there, but to be honest, I can see that falling apart later on in the season. Who else? Let's see. Previous. Oh, that's previous last week. He has changed it up for last week, so he does keep his eye on it. Let's have a look at Donsky Dons, Ganful FC. So got some top points this weekend. Ings, Mitrovic, Aubameyang.
2 Southampton players, I like that.
Yeah. And people seem to be, those at the top seem to be picking the same players. Look at that bench.
Walker Peters.
Got the same 2 Southampton players as me.
What about third place, Arsenic by Mohamed Agil? He's got some top players in there. Pereira getting a goal this weekend. That's an important one. Calvert-Lewin, we obviously talked about already. Bruno Fernandes. I'm surprised there's not many people selecting Bruno Fernandes, but that might be because United haven't played much as yet. But yeah, some good ones in there. Let's see where we are. I think I am 59th. I won't reveal my team. Don't want you copying me for the next few weeks.
Good luck trying to find me.
You'll probably be bottom, won't you, Mark?
Oh, I don't reckon I'm far off.
Troy Farthen's XI. What else have we got here?
Who is bottom? Let's see who is bottom.
Should we see who's bottom?
Let's look at that team as well.
Malachy Dunnett, Flinadine Zidane, right at the bottom there. It's got some good players in there. It's a shame, really. It's not kicked on.
Right, that team.
Dina, Doherty. Doherty hasn't really kicked on at Spurs yet. Obviously, 2 games gone so far.
Where am I then?
I literally can't find you.
I must be ahead of that then. I think I had an alright week this week.
But yeah, let's go back. Top performers this week. Look, Castagna is in there again. He was delivering. But yeah, we've still got a long way to go, boys. A lot of people were bringing players in. Calvert-Lewin is the top transfer this week. Rodriguez, Son, Bamford. He seems to be grabbing goals for Leeds. That's really important. Those going out, look, no surprise, is Timo Werner, who's not scored in either of his 2 starts. Fernandes going out of the squad. Martial, he was quite a vocal point for United last season. You've got to give these players a chance, I think, before you start changing around.
He'll be in ruthless after 1 game week, especially for the 2 Man United boys.
St. Maximum injured, so he's come out of the squad, but yeah, it's looking good. DA's come up there though and said, look, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I saw DA was in the top 20, so it's all right for him, isn't it? But
surprising when you're at the top.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so let's turn our attention to something else tonight, boys. We've got 20 minutes left. A massive signing in the Premier League this weekend, and it's got to be this guy. Bale is back. What do you reckon of that, boys? Gareth Bale obviously returning to Tottenham Hotspur after 7 years away from, the North London club. He's won 4 Champions Leagues, I think it was. A decorated player, and well within his right to stake his claim to play in the Real Madrid team. He's obviously had to leave Real Madrid to get some game time. What do you make of the move, and do you think he can have a real good impact at Spurs? Let's start with you, Tom.
I think he had to get out of Real Madrid. It was just too much commotion there all the time. Fans were on his back. And to be fair, it was a very strange situation there because he won in 4 Champions Leagues. He won the finals for him with some amazing goals. And he quite a coveted. He won a lot at Real Madrid, and it was strange. He put a lot of good performances. So I don't kind of know what went wrong there. Maybe they were jealous of his golf skills. Not sure, but I think Tottenham it's going to take a bit of time to adjust himself back into the Premier League because it is a different ball game over here. But give him a bit of time. I don't think he'll get back to the Gareth Bale he was at Tottenham. But if you think of the front three, you've got Bale, Son, and Kane, for example. To be fair, you wouldn't think of many better at the top of the Premier League there, would you, if you think of those three? If Bale can get up to the level that he has been.
Yeah, what do you make of that front three now, Becks? Obviously, bringing Gareth Bale into the fold. It's an important signing, but where does he fit into that front three?
It's an interesting one because obviously he had his most success for Spurs when he was kind of playing number 10, wasn't he? Villas-Boas played him behind the striker. I think he was playing behind Adebayor for most of his time there, and that's where he was just absolutely banging in the goals. But obviously he's been known for playing out on the right at Madrid, but I don't know. I could see him playing through the middle, to be honest. And if you drop Kane behind him, maybe that might actually benefit Harry Kane a little bit more, because Harry Kane is, like we've said, he is a terrific goal scorer and he is a great footballer, as others may disagree. But he is a little bit predictable what's going to happen at Spurs. If it is just him up front on his own, it does sometimes just become lump it to Kane. And he is, if you have someone who has that pace to get in behind, so long as Bale can keep fit, that might be a dangerous asset for him. But did you see how Madrid announced his departure? There was no pomp surrounding it whatsoever. They basically made him sound like a squad player for that. Well, he has been the last couple of seasons, but
yeah,
as Whitby said, he is a player who has won them competitions. Scored against Liverpool in that Champions League final. I always remember the goal he scored against Barcelona, where I think Mark Bartra basically tried to push him off the pitch, and he just put on the afterburners, sprinted all the way around him, and scored a great goal. But that is Real Madrid in a nutshell. Sadly, their fans are a little bit. If you don't respect the club or don't respect them, then they will quickly turn on you. But Madrid are a bit of a classless club anyway. The way they treated Casilla when he left was ridiculous. But yeah, hopefully, this can reignite a fire under Gareth Bale, and he can have a good year. It's a good, I think for anything, a bit like when Pogba came in, if it's just to sell a couple of million Spurs shirts, then I think they'll be happy with that.
Yeah, and as you mentioned there, he'll be wearing a number 9 shirt, first time in his career. You might be right there. He might be, playing in front of Harry Kane, and I think that might suit Harry Kane a bit more, give him a bit more freedom to express himself as a number 10. Definitely, Heung-Son Min has to be up there with him as well. Up there, front three there is as good as anyone in the Premier League. They've also brought in Reguilon at left back as well. Much needed left back. They obviously got rid of Danny Rose. Well, they didn't even include Danny Rose in their squad this season. There's a tweet here. It says in 2014, Sergio Reguilon uploaded a photo of Gareth Bale with the caption, "One of the happiest days of my life." 4 years later, Reguilon played alongside Real Madrid, and now in 2020, Reguilon has joined Tottenham on the same day as Bale. Nice to have someone to go through it with. I did see a video of Bale getting out of the car with the left back, and he was speaking to him in Spanish, and Bale just shrugged his shoulders like, "Don't know what you're talking about." I think that just capitulates his whole time at Real Madrid. Maybe there may have been a bit of arrogance from Bale on his side, but yes, he did single-handedly win a Champions League trophy for Real Madrid against Liverpool. yes, he has won the right, but Real Madrid need to start respecting their players a little more. Look at the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, absolute club legend, but he didn't want to stay there any longer, did he? He wanted to move on. I think that says a lot about them as a club. Boys, we've only got a couple minutes left, 13 minutes left. Got a bit to chuck in here tonight. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we haven't watched before, you can follow us on Twitter. You can see our page there. Instagram, we've got our story there, everything. And Facebook.
TikTok as well.
And TikTok, yes. TikTok went flying at the weekend. Hold on.
Down with the kids nowadays.
Is TikTok on browser? I don't know. TikTok.
I'm not sure, mate. That's a bit too fancy for me, but I know I'm not down with the kids like you.
We're on TikTok as well, but over the weekend, one of our videos went viral and we got 2,000 followers. So big thanks to our head of TikTok. He shall remain nameless because he's got better things to do during the day than just to go over our TikTok. But great work from that guy, and he's keeping us ticking over. Shall I say? Chuck that one in there. Where's my cursor gone? There it is. Right, boys. Certainly not last, but I want to pick up on the form of one team specifically this weekend, Leicester City. And they really stood up against a strong Burnley. I wouldn't say strong. I'm saying strong physically and in good shape Burnley side, and got a 4-2 victory to add to their opening day win. That's currently top of the league on goal difference. What do we make of Leicester's chances this season? Obviously, just missing out on Champions League football this season, just gone. Do you think they can overcome, their demons and really cement their Champions League spot this season?
It's all about depth, isn't it? Let's be honest. I still look at their squad. You look at it last season, you can see where it fell apart. Once Sionchu and Evans were injured, they had Ryan Bennett, who can't get into the Wolves team, and Wes Morgan at the back. Let's be honest, that's not even top half Premier League side, is it? Let's be honest. It all comes down to that, and sadly for Brendan Rodgers, his sides do have the tendency to bottle it. Apart from he always goes on about having great character and being outstanding, but they do bottle it more often than not. You look at his time at Liverpool, the times they fell apart, and sadly it happened again for Leicester last season. That game against Bournemouth was the one where it really sort of fell apart. They had like a mad 5 minutes where I think they were winning, and then they ended up 3 or 4-2 down, I think it was, and that was beginning of the end. But I like that Castagna. He looks like a decent player. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of competition this year. A lot of sides around them have got better. I think they'll be struggling to emulate what they did last year.
Yeah, Tom, do you agree? Final day game against Manchester United could have seen them into the Champions League. Do you think, obviously, they've strengthened over the summer, they've brought in some key players. But, have they got enough to cement a Champions League spot this season?
No, I don't. I feel they're struggling to get a European spot. I think if you look at teams stronger than them, you've got your likes. Obviously, I think Wolves finished above them myself. But yeah, like Mark was saying, to do with depth. I mean, you've got Jamie Vardy up there. If he gets injured, who replaces him? They rely so heavily on him. They didn't yesterday, but I feel over the course of the season they will. But I was gutted from last year. I feel like they deserve the top 4 spot. Because they were there majority of the season, weren't they? Sitting third, fourth majority of the season until the 2 snuck in. But yeah, I don't feel they're going to have enough. If they can try and grasp momentum from last year, they might be able to get a bit of a head start like they did last year. But again, with what Mark was saying, depth is going to come into it. I don't think they have enough. I think they'll finish top half, maybe 8th, 9th. That's going to be my prediction.
I think that they've got a strength and consistency. I think they might, challenge again this season. I'd like to see them challenge, but obviously you look at the likes of Vardy, you're right. If he gets injured, which he doesn't normally do,
no.
They're going to be struggling. And if you look at their next striker, who have they got?
Iheanacho.
I mean,
he's all right. He's all right.
He's an amazing goal scorer, isn't he? We're talking about a prolific goal scorer in Jamie Vardy here.
Yeah.
A top goal scorer. Without him, they're not going to do much. But look, Leicester firmly in my thoughts. I think they're going to be up there. Probably, I'm going to say top 5 finish for them, and they'll be battling out with the likes of Everton and Wolves, I think.
No.
We know not to write these teams off, boys. We know not to write them off because Leicester won the Premier League with one of the worst teams I've ever seen. So, you can't.
Yeah.
You
got a point.
Say these things. Boys, just quickly, let's have a look at the timeline again and see what is going on. Hold on. I've got rid of it. Hold on. Let's see what's going on in sports.
What are the big games next week? Have we got? What's the biggest game of the weekend? Would we say next weekend?
We don't look ahead to these things. What are you on about? Let's just have a look at the game tonight. 3 minutes added on, 38 seconds ago, so 2.5 minutes to go, and Villa are still 1-0 up. Disappointed Villa aren't pulling strings and beating teams, but that's testament to Sheffield United with 10 men who can still hold back there. But they've not got enough to win this game. Obviously, it looks like it's going to be a tough slog for them this season. Look, next 6 fixtures for Sheffield United just can't there. Leeds at home, which is obviously going to be a derby. Arsenal away, Fulham at home, Liverpool away, Man City at home, Chelsea away.
Jesus Christ.
They'll be in the relegation zone, well into the relegation zone if they don't pick up any points in the next 3 games, let alone the next 6. It's going to be a tough slog. I wanted to end tonight, boys, on Newcastle-Brighton. I was thoroughly impressed with Brighton's performance away from home on Saturday. Maupay obviously bagging 2 goals. One that was dubious was they were looking to give an offside against Trossard. But
fair play, they kept going, didn't they? They could have stopped.
And in contrast to I think did they lose 4-0 to Chelsea on the opening day?
3, wasn't it?
Was it 3-0? But to come back from that and continue business as usual at St James's Park. Newcastle.
It's 3-1. It was.
Clubs bringing in players that have been relegated. They've been relegated for a reason. They're not better than everyone else. You bring in relegated players. They're gonna give you exactly the same as what they did at their previous club. I'm worried about Newcastle's chances. I think everyone would be realistic to say they're probably lower mid-table to relegation fodder this season. But what do you make of Brighton? Obviously, they're looking quite sharp. They've got some good players. For example, I've mentioned those 3 there. Trossard, Maupay, and Lamptey is another one that's catching everyone's eyes. They got him from Chelsea. Only 19 years old. He's looking so fresh. But what do we make of Brighton's chances under Graham Potter this season?
I think they could have a really good year, to be honest. I really like Brighton. I probably shouldn't with my affiliation with Southampton, but I think the only
you just love South Coast, don't you?
They do. I think the only rivalry they have is who's got the best beach huts. I think, to be honest, it's not really a proper rivalry, but yeah, I actually think they'll do really well. Maybe a little bit thin up front. It's very reliant on Maupay and Connolly, but there's some players in there. They've got a load of I'd say mercurial, really random players who are actually quite good. I like Yakan Bash as well, Iranian bloke, but he scores absolute bangers all the time. Yeah, but I said about him last week, he didn't play against Newcastle, but he's in the Argentina squad, and he played in midweek. Alexis McAllister, he's going to be huge for Brighton, and I think he played really well against Portsmouth in midweek as well. But I think they're going to surprise a few people. They're no pushovers, and I think when they came into 2020, they were in real trouble. I don't think they'd won a game up until lockdown, but then after lockdown, they just found this form and were really good. And then, like you say, you see Lamptey and Ben White coming in, Connolly performing well, Maupay, Trossard. There's some good little players there, and I think they'll surprise a few teams, to be honest.
Yeah. Brighton will. Yeah, we've got Dan Allen here. Brighton will probably finish around 11th to 14th. Shouldn't struggle like last year. But they seem to be spending money in the right places, and I think that's what's going to get them through. Like you say, Dan's there predicting an 11th to 14th would be an improvement on last season. Tom, what do you make of Brighton? Do you think they could turn up any trees this season?
Yeah, I think they could. I mean, they changed their playing style, didn't they? Quite significantly, obviously, when Graham Potter took over from more of a defensive unit to trying to play football, trying to play it through obviously the whole pitch. What are we laughing at?
Chris Hughton, just slagging off Chris Hughton, which quite rightly you should, because he was abysmal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they got caught out, didn't they, with obviously a keeper passing it straight to all of them giving the ball away in midfield and giving the penalty away to Chelsea. But that's what they're trying to do. It's what they're trying to identify as playing out from the back. And I mean, fair play to them for doing it. They've got some great players in there. Obviously, Lamptey's coming through. Put my fancy team. What can I say? Needed some of the best youngsters up early on in the season before they cost too much. But no, they've got a strong midfield as well. You've got Bazuma, who I think got sent off at the weekend, didn't he?
Did his best Shawn Michaels impression, didn't he? Sweet chin music.
Yeah, literally just put a stud straight into their bloke's face. But Maupay up front as well.
That was a horrific challenge. Horrific. I don't think there's any actual footage of it. I think they cut it, didn't they? But
what was he thinking?
Started him in the face. I don't know how it came round. But...
Yeah.
It was only Jamal Lewis, so who cares? He's an ex-Norwich player. So.
Yeah, that is true.
Norwich, really, isn't it? But I think they've got a good chance this season, and
they'll be fine.
They'll definitely be fine. Tom, a little message here, mate, for you. Your connection is absolutely shocking, sir.
To be fair, I saw that run across the bottom like 10 minutes ago. I was like, for God's sake.
But yeah, boys, it's been brilliant to talk to you tonight. Obviously, a lot to go through and a lot to cover, but it's been good to chat about the weekend. Like you said, let's have a look and see if there's any fixtures on for, let's see, Premier League fixtures.
Before we forget.
Big one to look forward to this coming weekend. So we've got Wolves Man City tonight. That'll be a good one. Nice to see Man City back and playing. Wolves obviously tucked Man City up twice last season, didn't they? From memory, was it just the once that?
Yeah, they did twice home and away.
But Brighton, next match day Saturday we've got Brighton, Manchester United, Crystal Palace, Everton, West Brom, Chelsea. Burnley, Southampton, Sheffield United, Leeds on Sunday, Tottenham, Newcastle, Man City, Leicester, and West Ham, Wolves on Sunday. And then Monday, back again, Aston Villa against Fulham at Craven Cottage, and Liverpool versus Arsenal. So next week we'll catch up with those. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Don't forget TikTok as well. Have a look at our TikTok, FNZ Football. And follow and spread the word. But until next week, take care.